Yeah, so this is where an electric vehicle can take you still. It's good to know. By the way, you can probably hear the wind whipping up. It's actually a lot more powerful than I thought it was. So I'm probably going to expend a lot more energy getting back down the hill than I thought. So we'll see. Still, it's beautiful here. So. Hey guys, so we're off on an adventure now. So I'm hoping you can see the navigation screen right now. Where I'm heading is actually the Victorville Charger. So I guess this seems to be where most of my adventures begin. But you might notice that it keeps telling me to turn around and go back the way I'm coming, and it's 2 hours and 30 minutes to go 109 miles basically to the Victorville Charger, and what this is showing me is in theory the fastest route. I know that it's actually probably heavy with traffic, which is why I'm not convinced that it's the fastest route. And so I'm actually going against the guidance of my navigation here. So what I'm actually hoping to do, and actually let me reset this so I have a decent trip mileage. Anyway, so what I'm hoping to do is try a different route that's shorter in miles, and hopefully will get me there at a similar time. Now, normally for best trip speeds, you just want the route that gets you there the fastest if you're using DC fast chargers. So Victorville is a DC fast charger, so I would typically want to go the fastest way possible. But I know that that's not actually that might not actually work out this time, because what I'm actually going to try and do is charge up to about 85% at Victorville, and go on from there. But so the fewer miles that I have to recharge when I get to Victorville, the better overall it's going to be. So that's really what my hope is, to get there in a similar amount of time, but using the fewest miles possible. So if I'm right about this, I'm gonna maybe lose 10 minutes of driving time, but I'm going to arrive with about 20 miles fewer miles driven. So if you'll notice right now, it keeps telling me it's about 109, 110 miles, and once I crest over the hill, hopefully it will see where I'm going, update my route, and it will show a different time. So but I'll chime you guys back in when we're actually at that point. Okay, well, it finally stopped giving me alternate routes, I think. I mean, it could still be trying to tell me to turn around. But anyway, we're back to similar mileage that it's recommending, but the time is a little bit different. So it went from 2.5 hours down to 2 hours and 12 minutes. So, I mean, it's still on par, which is kind of what I expected, but we'll see. I still have to find out exactly what route it's telling me to go on. Something else just to note, the regenerative braking just sort of switched over just a little bit ago to being full regen available, and that's typically what I notice is about somewhere about 3.3 to 3.5 kilowatt hours used out of the full battery capacity is enough to allow 100% regen, which is odd because the Hilltop Reserve mode actually preserves 6 kilowatt hours that aren't usable in order for you to have full regen. So I mean, maybe in their mind, if you live on the top of a mountain, you're going to regenerate maybe as much as 3 kilowatt hours, so you'll have basically full regen the whole time. So even if you regen an extra, like I said, 3 kilowatt hours, you're going to get to the point where you're still going to have that full regen available. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, so as you'll notice, right now I can see on Google Maps the alternatives, and this is still in line basically with what it was first saying, is if I get back on the freeway and take the more traditional route, it's going to take 35 minutes longer than it would take me going the route that I'm currently taking. So basically I'm just passing through Santa Clarita, and then I'll be getting onto Highway 14. So I'll be able to bypass a lot of that traffic, and like I said, it looks like the total miles were very, very similar, but I'm saving about 30 minutes by going this route instead. So and that's really all I was looking for, is to save a bit of time. The range, and actually though, the side bonus is this, even though I would have been dealing with traffic going the other way, I think this might still end up being a more efficient route overall. So here's to hoping. Now of course we're stuck in traffic a little bit, but actually something I noticed Google Maps is very good about is anticipating the traffic flow. So this time that we're seeing, I'm seeing it adjust a little bit, plus or minus a minute here or there, but it seems to be very good about accounting for typical traffic patterns. That's why sometimes my predicted time, I'll beat it by 5 minutes, right? Because I just happen to hit all of the lights. I'll probably jinx myself, but things have been going swimmingly. a little bit of hiccups here and there with the traffic, but for the most part we've been going freeway speeds, so that's nice. And we should be exiting in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, I can't complain with the traffic so far. So just where I'm going though, right? So we're heading to Victorville, but then from Victorville I'm heading to Needles. So Needles, California is right on the border of California and Arizona, or very close to it, and it's a good stopping point. And apparently the town of Needles, or the city of Needles, has installed 4 level 2 chargers in I guess an okay area, not the ideal location, but it is right next to I believe it's a Quality Inn, which I'm still on the fence as to whether I'm actually going to rent a room for the night. I think it depends on how I feel when I get there. I still haven't done enough camping testing with the Bolt EV to be able to say, yeah, this is a vehicle that I would want to sleep in overnight. The Volt with the V, it has, especially the first generation, I can speak to a little bit more. It actually has a nice area in the back where if you fold down the rear seats, you basically have a pretty large flat area that you can lay a mattress on, or you can put like an inflatable mattress or something like that, because it is somewhat hard. But yeah, I've slept some nights, I won't say many, in my Volt, and that's fine. Whereas with the Bolt EV, it's not configured the same way. It wouldn't be hard to modify it, and if you have a Bolt EV Premier, then it has that false floor in the back, so you do have almost a similar area like you would in the Volt, where it's flat throughout. These seats are fine for driving, but I don't know how folding them back would work as far as sleeping. So that's where I am right now. I might or might not rent a room when I get to Needles, because what's going to happen is Needles is about 175 miles from Victorville. So I'll recharge at Victorville like I was going to Las Vegas, and then from there I'll drive to Needles, and I should be down to probably about 15% battery capacity. So those level 2 chargers in Needles I'll need to be at essentially all night for me to get the range that I need. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. One thing that I'll probably have to do a little bit of a preamble these videos, but part of what inspired me to do them is, you know, most of my trips have been sort of confined to what is the more built out fast charger network in California. And I mean, the exception to that was my trip out to Zion National Park, where I was able to stop at a location that had a destination charger, you know, in the Clipper Creek level 2 as well, in St. George. And so much like this, I arrived there fairly late. I left much earlier, but I arrived probably about this point in time, so that I was able to get a full night's sleep and wake up with a fully charged battery. So this will be along those same lines. I wanted to visit the Grand Canyon. I've wanted to for a very long time, and you know, the fast charging network in Arizona just hasn't really been built out that much, especially not in northern Arizona. So to visit the Grand Canyon will be a bit of a trek, right? And it forces me to step out of this California comfort zone when it comes to driving electric vehicles and availability of fast chargers. So this will kind of be an experience for me, just to see what it's like to rely on a sort of a spotty and slow charging infrastructure. But again, I've wanted to visit like Meteor Crater, Lowell Observatory, Flagstaff in general, the Grand Canyon, and just driving Route 66 is something that I've been interested in doing. And so I didn't want to wait another year or 2 or 3. Who knows how long it's going to be before someone actually builds out a decent fast charger network. You know, this is the time came up. I'm not doing anything this weekend. The weather is actually cool but decent, so it's a perfect opportunity for me to at least just get out there and see what I like and don't like about it, and you know, and I'll be able to revisit it in the years to come, kind of like Zion National Park, that I now know that I actually want to go and spend a few days there. So this will be a good experience, and who knows, maybe I'll just cut this in as the preamble, because well, it's there. But yeah, so welcome to my adventure. Where are we? we are at the Victorville charger. I've gotten to know it pretty well. Oh. Big old circle and spots where nobody wants to park. Groovy. So 114 miles on 26 kilowatt hours. So not terrible efficiency, but let's see where we are. There we go. Looks like they still haven't fixed the pulley. This one's a little bit stuck, but not too bad. So I should be at about 55% state of charge, so pretty high up there. Yep, well, right on the money. So I actually don't know that I'm going to need more than 30 minutes. This is predicting 26 minutes to 85. And then let me just start this up for a second. So yeah, we're getting the full 45 kilowatts, which probably won't last very long. But my destination is 175 miles away. But in this case, I'm actually probably going to be okay with having it at 175 miles for my, just middle estimated range. Even though a lot of this is going to be freeway. And the reason for that is that it's about a 1,500 to 2,000 foot elevation drop. So I feel like I might end up with a little bit extra out of that. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, log into Plug Share, let someone know I'm using the charger and how long I'm going to be here. And then I'm going to probably just grab something quick to eat before I head back out. So I guess I started at about 8:20, so I'll be looking to get out of here about probably 9 o'clock at the latest. I mean, I might start a session just to keep it going a little. All right. Ooh, 46 kilowatts. So try as I might, I never seem to get the lunch timing right. This is something that I find a little bit disturbing. With EVgo, sometimes I wonder if part of this isn't meant as a way of discouraging people from using their chargers, because most of these trips that have been inconvenient for me, I mean, granted, I typically stay within the reach of a network, but most of the trips that have been inconvenient for me have been a result of the EVgo charge sessions stopping at 30 minutes. So it's just not enough, it's just not enough time to actually recharge a vehicle, especially not on these 50 kilowatt chargers. And yeah, it's basically EVgo has a lot of issues that they're going to need to work out as a company, and something like this, it's going to be one of the things that is their undoing, right? They're not really being customer focused, and so you have these charge sessions that stop at these arbitrary times when they shouldn't. It sounds like possibly the drive to arc chargers that they put in
stop at 80% and won't actually charge. So if this were to drive the arc charger, you'd just be done, right? So who knows? Maybe my trip would be done. I should go check the estimated mileage. Um, but yeah, and you know their customer service on the phone is pleasant, but it's not it's not exemplary. They're not really doing their best to meet the needs of their customers. So yeah, it's just kind of a pain. Finally have company at the EVgo charger, Leaf over there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm good to go now. Again, it's only 180 miles, and it looks like, you know, I already have the minimum range I need, so I'm just gonna go ahead and shut down the charge. All right. Remember to turn my lights back on. Actually, so up to 85%, which is about where I wanted to be anyway. Only another 10 minutes. That's why I said I'm a little bit upset with EVgo cutting off the way they do. But you know, c'est la vie. They're the only game in town right now, so in this case, town of Victorville. It's literally, yeah. So let's see. And I believe we are off. Woohoo! So yeah, maybe 5 minutes longer than I wanted to be here, just based on when the time was. But all right, time to go. Out we go. We leaving the Leaf, who just started charging about 10 minutes ago. And now for a journey, well, I'd say I've never done before, but that would actually be lying. I have done this journey before up until we get to Highway 40. And I think, do I have to go around? Yeah, I guess I do. I always forget because one of these ways has a left turn light and then the other one doesn't. So sorry buddy, but coming to a stop here because I follow the law and I need to go left. That's the main reason. Barstow, we're about to head to, or we're about to pass a supercharger, a Tesla supercharger. And again, I actually think Barstow is a much better stop. Yes, there's the Tesla supercharger right now. Barstow is a much better stop for the Bolt EV than Victorville is. Now, if they put a charger
in Barstow that'll benefit both Bolt EV drivers and the current crop of small battery EV drivers like Leafs, i3s, Ioniqs, those sorts of things. And the reason for that is those other vehicles will need to stop in Victorville, and then they'll want to stop again in someplace like Barstow, where the Bolt EV can just pass Victorville and head straight to Barstow. But the thing with Barstow is it's actually an interchange between three different freeways, or three, I guess, highways. So you can see we're coming up to one right now, which is 58 back to Bakersfield. Well, that's an important junction, because it also takes you to Highway 395. So Barstow is basically a point where you have three major freeways, or three reasonably large freeways, all converging. So it's a good place for a fast charger, because no matter whether you're going on to Las Vegas, you're coming from Vegas and you want to go to Bakersfield instead of Los Angeles, or you're going this direction, you want to go to Needles onto Flagstaff, Barstow is just a better location because it's a centralized stop. And Tesla did a lot of homework when they were putting fast chargers in place, and it was no mistake that they chose Barstow, because they knew most of their vehicles have very similar ranges to the Bolt EV. I'm not saying that the Bolt EV is the reason they put it there, but imagine the Bolt EV is a 240 mile range electric vehicle. Most of Tesla's offerings are right around that range. So if this is an ideal spot for them, it's an ideal spot for the Bolt EV. And like I said, they chose the locations of their superchargers for reasons, right? Location, in terms of long distance travel, but also amenities, things like that. So it's something to consider as the public fast charging network starts getting built out, where and how and why we put certain chargers in certain places. So but anyway, yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, and we're 2 miles away from the off ramp, which is, again, we're still in Barstow. That's why I said it's kind of a good location. All right, well, we're starting to head down Needles Way. So this is actually the first time, my maiden voyage on this road. I've never driven on it. I've never ridden on it, to my knowledge. So this should be interesting. One thing that I didn't really map out along this route was the various elevation changes. So I know what the net elevation is,
the net elevation differences, and like I said, it's about 1,500 to 2,000 feet net lower elevation. But it seems like there are a few different hills that I'm having to get over first. You know, I can kind of tell by the energy draw and then just the appearance of the road too, that we're definitely cresting over some elevation changes. So I went from having a net 20-mile buffer in my minimum range estimate versus the actual range left to go, down to now I have like an 11. So I'm pretty sure what's happening is, yeah, we're cresting up to the top of a hill, but that means that, you know, what goes up must come back down again. So more than likely there's going to be a very serious elevation drop going back down into Needles, and if that's the case, then I'll end up seeing my elevation or my estimated range hop back up again. This is interesting. I mean, I might have missed a couple of instances of these, but yeah, it seems like we have yet another peak to crest over. So you know, I kind of see traffic coming down. It's always hard to gauge horizon lines when you're driving, because you could actually be ascending while it looks like you're descending. But mostly what I'm charting right now is the energy draw. So 70 miles an hour on flat ground, a good round number that you're looking for is about 20 kilowatts. So right now I'm up over 35 kilowatts. So that's telling me that there's actually a substantial grade. Maybe it's not anything that's overly taxing, but it's enough to affect the range estimator and the trend bars, and these are the kinds of things again that I know someone had mentioned. Actually, I met him at one of the Bolt EV meetups, but Mitch, he had mentioned that he doesn't really use the trend bars, but he also doesn't take his Bolt EV on long trips. But this is exactly to me why the trend bars on the range estimator are so valuable. Is if I'm seeing right now that I'm going up a hill, and I already know what the relative elevations are between my start and stop points, I can look at this trend bar and say, all right, I understand why right now my minimum range is 81 miles and I have 79 miles left to go. I understand why there's that difference, and
and I'll also be able to recognize when we're no longer going up that slope and when we're coming back down the other side. So I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to take this route back. If I do, these elevation changes are something I want to take note of, though, because I'd end up needing to recharge for at least some time in Needles, I believe, and because it's a net elevation gain going the other direction, I'd need to be aware of that, because I'm going to be losing range, or it's going to appear that I'm going to be losing range heading back, because I'm going to start off leaving Needles with a much more significant elevation gain than I'll end the trip with. So we'll see, but again, cross that bridge when I get to it. So it looks like we just crested the summit. I can't even remember the name of it, Mountain something something summit, but it was actually only about 2,800 feet in elevation. So again, now we should be assuming it's all downhill from here into Needles. Yeah, we should be looking at a little over 2,000 feet of elevation decline in the next 26 miles. Much to complain about on this trip. I mean, some stuff is a little bit unpredictable, but yeah, I'll be arriving, it looks like, with about 15% state of charge left, leaving with about 85% state of charge. So yeah, it looks like you know, you're only going to use about 70% of your battery to get from Victorville to Needles. But you know, the other thing is too, I was driving basically exactly the speed limit, except for a few occasions I sped up a little bit more just to get by traffic and not make a you know, obstacle of myself on the freeway. So, and here comes my memory trying to remember exactly where the charger is. I have my directions set based on based on the address from PlugShare, and I more or less know where it is based on based on just looking at it on the map. So the problem is, of course, you can't necessarily see it that well. So not exactly. Oh, I guess I should have pulled out farther there. Not exactly a busy town, but this will be sort of the moment of truth. Worst case scenario, maybe Ronald McDonald can give me a ride. So what do we have here? These look like refueling stations. Go figure. Thank you, City of Needles. 75 degrees. Interesting. I don't think the McDonald's is still open, only the drive-through is. Yeah, this presents me with an interesting option of whether I actually want to get a room at the Quality Inn. Because it actually might be a nice night to just camp out in the car. But anyway, actually, I'm going to leave this on so I can show you based on the lighting. But yeah, it looks like they have some Clipper Creeks. Now, it has a code. Now, last I heard, these were supposed to be free. And we'll see. Standard J1772. So the orange light came on and blinking. So we are now charging at 6 kilowatts. Pretty nifty. Thank you, City of Needles. All right. Well, I'm gonna check in at PlugShare, and I'm definitely going to give an update because, like I said, it might not be apparent to some. And actually, let me see if I can turn off the power here for a second and see if I can get a estimated charge time. It's not really gonna give that to me now. All right, I'll figure it out. It's a 6 kilowatt charge, so that means it's going to be probably a full night of charging before, um, before I actually. Okay, there it is. Sorry. Yeah, they're saying it's going to be 8:30 a.m. and usually these numbers will correct themselves a little sooner. Um, hmm. Well, now I have to decide. Do I get a room or do I? Well, whatever. I'm gonna check into PlugShare and I'm gonna note that everything is working and maybe take some more pictures in the morning or something. So, all right. Whew, what a day. And not bad actually, considering I only left about 6 hours ago.